Good afternoon and welcome back to the reading vlog. We have Monday afternoon. I just finished work and I'm tired. It has been a work day, but I did want to give you an update on what I read over the weekend and what I'm currently reading. I finished 3 romance novels since I talked to you on Saturday. The first 2 are from one series called Lords of the Otherworld, where the first one is called Maximus and the second one is Zane. And it's a paranormal romance series. In the first one, we have Maximus. They are soul collectors, our main characters. So they live in the other world and then they go to the normal world and collect the souls of people who are supposed to get to hell. And they all have mates, like, it's pretty normal for paranormal romances. And Maximus knows who his mate is because Fate decided to tell him. Fate decided to tell Maximus who his mate is because the uncle of his mate was killed by a cult. And so Maximus is like stalking his mate, just like pretty much mostly to make sure he's safe. But instead of like going and talking to him, he's like stalking him. And then at some point, which his mate is called Kim. At some point, Kim is like, okay, I have a stalker. I need to like confront him. And so he confronts him and then they talk about it. And then there is an assassination attempt made against Kim because of the cult that was after his uncle. And so Maximus takes him into the other world with him. And, it goes from there. They find out that, like, Kim is a magical being and what the cult is doing and all of that. And then in the second one, we have Zane, who is another soul collector. They are, like, one big family in the other world. And Zane, actually, in the beginning of the book, pretty much the beginning of Zane's book is the ending of Maximus's book. And so in the beginning of Zane's book, he kills his mate because they are tracking the cult and they are releasing children the cult has captured. And the cult is using mages to like teleport the children away whenever like the soul collectors come too close to them, because they also are kind of the police for the supernaturals. And Zane's mate is the mage that is actually being kept captive by the cult and has been really horribly mistreated for the last 15 years. And so he kills him. It is by accident. He didn't know that the mage was his mate, but actually his mate is really glad that he's dead because he then also comes to the other world. And he obviously doesn't have to suffer with the cult anymore. And then pretty much the whole thing is like Zane handling the PTSD that his mate has and not like all of that comes with it, and like learning more what happened to him and stuff like that, and then them investigating the cult and finding out more about the cult. And so those are the first 2 books in the series. There's also a third book, but I didn't like how the second one ended as like a spoiler for how the third one would be starting. So I don't know yet if I want to read the third one. I like the main character of the third one. He's called Knox. But I don't necessarily know if I will like the story, so I haven't decided yet. But those 2 got 4 stars because I did actually really like them. I like the way the relationships were treated and like learning about a whole new world with like the other world and stuff like that. And the way, especially in Zane's book, how the PTSD was treated. I really liked that. So yeah, I got those 4 stars. And then I did read White Noise, which is Caffeine Daydreams book 1, which is a rock star journalist romance where the rock star and the journalist get like stuck in an elevator together, and then the rock star, like, they kind of, it's kind of insta-lovey, they fall for each other, and like the rock star is just really impressed that the journalist is like not prying into his life, and they realize it's because I've forgotten their names, which is why I'm calling them by their profession. But the journalist, his mother took her own life because of anxiety and depression, and the rock star does have anxiety and depression, and they realize they have a lot in common when it comes to that. And then when the band goes on tour, they take the journalist with him as like an assignment, and it goes from there. It's pretty insta-lovey. It is supposed to be like that. I'm giving it 3 stars. I liked the chemistry between the characters, and I did like the insta-lovey stuff. But there was some meddling that I found just too obvious. I would have loved for the meddling of like third parties to be a little bit more toned down or not being there. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. So yeah, those are the romances I read. I tried a couple of other ones, didn't have a lot of luck, to be honest. And then I started my next physical read, which is Stephen King Full Dark, No Stars, which is a short story collection. I think I've actually found the one short story by Stephen King I don't like, which is the first one in here that I'm currently reading. And mostly that is because of it is a historical short story. It's called 1922, and it is playing in 1922. And I just don't love the way, like, obviously it's written in like more old-timey terms and with all of the misogyny and all of that in there, and the way things are handled. And yeah, it's not something I enjoy. And, you know, even though it seems to be like a typical Stephen King story, I can't really get into it. It is about a guy who's called Wilfred Leland James, and he kills his wife because his wife inherits some land, and his wife wants to sell all of their land and move to the city. And he's like, no, I'm a country boy. I don't want to move to the city. And not that the woman is an angel, but like, he more or less purely kills her because she wants to sell the land. And he doesn't. And then he ropes his son into it, and they kill the wife. And then the story is about the guilt, and people come snooping around, the sheriff coming, because obviously, you know, the woman isn't there anymore, and nobody really buys the story about her having gone away because, you know, she would have abandoned her son and all of that. And the son is really suffering with the knowledge that they killed his mother, even though the father tried to poison the son against the mother in the beginning. It's a story like that. And I know that there's like probably more or less like something else in there because it is a Stephen King story, but I'm not enjoying that one. I'm gonna have to be honest. It's just the type of historical fiction that I don't enjoy. And because, you know, you have sentences that make total sense in like as part of the story. Like the guy is like, well, handling the land is a man's job, you know, stuff like that would make total sense in the context, but I still hate reading them. So yeah, I'm not enjoying that one, but I'm guessing that they're gonna get better, and it's not because the story is bad, it's because of me. So yeah, I made some progress with my knitting. I am halfway through the first sleeve now, and oh my god, I'm loving it. Like, this color is so heavenly. I really like the contrast. And so yeah, I'm halfway through. These are 80 rounds of knitting. So I have another 80 rounds to do before I can do the cuff. It is quite a bit. But yeah, it is looking really good. I'm really happy. So hopefully I can do some more progress with that, and the rest of the week should be relatively chill. I think we don't have anything this weekend, this week general, and then the next weekend is gonna be action-packed again, but for this week it should be chill. And I only need to film and edit on Wednesday because my partner is at the office on Wednesday, so I have the whole day alone in the apartment, which makes it a lot easier for me to film and edit. So I will do that on Wednesday, and yeah, that's the beginning of the week. We'll see what I get up to throughout the rest of the week, reading wise, and I will see you tomorrow once I hopefully finish 1922, because I want to get through that story. It's just not exciting. Okay, so I finished a romance, and I finished the first short story in the Stephen King book. So let's talk about the first short story. It is a typical Stephen King story, and I did like it more towards the end. But I'm still standing on the fact from yesterday. It's just not a time frame and a way of telling a story I like, and that is purely on me. To be honest, the story isn't bad. It is like your typical Stephen King story, with like a dark ending. It is like there is no happy ending in the story, which I feel like for short stories with Stephen King kind of happens quite a bit. And it is a really, like, the story in itself makes a lot of sense, and it is a quite fitting story, but I just don't like the setting. I can't get over that fact. So yeah, whilst I think it's a good story, and if you like the setting of 1922 and the way people talked back then, I think it's actually an enjoyable story, but it's just not something I would pick up, you know. But yeah, that means I'm 150 pages in now, and the next story is called Big Driver. My neighbor just rang the bell to pick up package for hers. But yeah, don't know what the next story is about, obviously. I never know what books are about, you know. But yeah, I'm excited to continue with the book, because even though I don't like the time frame, I still think it's a good story. So yeah. Now let's talk about, I need to look the book up that I read. So I read Eternal Sin by Mia Monroe, which is the first book in the Immortal Assassins series, and it is a series about vampire assassins who live in New Onyx, I think the city is called, and they pretty much more or less only kill bad people, so criminals, especially people that hurt women and children, and all of them are gay. And they, like, we have the original vampire, who's Ives, and Ives is one of the, like, sired by, like, the first vampire. And then we have 5 other brothers, and the one we are getting the story of in the first book is Sin, who was originally called Alessio and came from Italy, I think. And he is in the city, and then at one point he sees a human, and he kind of falls in love with him. It's a fated mate thing, only that Sin doesn't know that exists, and he's just really confused why he's so attracted to this human. And his human is in a pretty bad situation. He's homeless, he squats in a building, and he's working for his uncle, who is really bad to him. And yeah, he has a lot of troubles, and he has a really, like, pretty dark backstory. And Sin just wants to make his life easier, and he kind of doesn't know how to go about it, because he's aware of what a weird situation that would be. And then at some point, his human, which I forgot the name of. Let me quickly look up the name. It's weird to say his human. Bowie. The guy is called Bowie. And so at one evening, Bowie gets attacked by robbers, and they are actually on their way to killing him. And Sin steps in, rescues Bowie, and then from there he kind of brings him into his life and gives him security, and then they investigate the problems that Bowie's family have and all of that, and the mafia is involved and all of that. And it is a lot of fun. I really liked that book. I'm giving it 4 stars. It is not necessarily insta-lovey, but is Bowie never really... He's never really skeptical about what Sin is telling him, which I enjoy, but I do know that a lot of people might find that a bit weird. But yeah, I love the fact that, like, once Sin rescues Bowie, that everything goes pretty smoothly. Smoothly? Is that? oh my god. It goes pretty well from there. It's just that, like, Bowie is, like, pretty, like, unsure about himself, and he definitely has some PTSD, you know. So there are troubles, but it's not like the guys having problems with one another. It's just pretty much like individual problems that don't interfere in the relationship all that much, which is what I enjoy in books like that. So yeah, I will definitely continue with that series, because the other vampires seemed also quite nicely. And it's a lot of fun, you know. They kill pretty brutally, but they make it like they do it for good cause, and who can say anything against that, you know. So yeah, that is the romance I read. And then I did quite a bit of knitting. Originally, I wanted to work on the gift for my friend, but I ruined my last needle that I have, so I need to go out tomorrow and buy new sewing needles for hand sewing because I ruined my last one. I don't know, maybe I'm not careful enough with my fingers, but I broke the back part of the needle and now it's not usable anymore. I don't know what I did. But yeah, because I couldn't work on that then, I did continue with my knitting, and I am nearly finished with the first sleeve, which I'm super excited about. I have 17 rows left on this sleeve, and then I have the ribbing left. So the goal for today is to finish the first sleeve of the sweater. And so yeah, I will see you maybe once I finished the sleeve or once I finished another book, because I have a couple of romances I started, but I'm not that far in, so I can't really talk about them. Okay, I got slightly sidetracked with my knitting, which is why I haven't read as much as I thought I would. Yesterday I didn't have any time to read at all because I had a pretty busy day. So I also didn't check in with you because, yeah, it was just way too busy to even like think about anything when it contains to that. I did continue with Full Dark No Stars, a pretty dark book so far. I started with the second story, which is called Big Driver, and so far our main character, who is an author, she's on the older side, but I think she's in like old, but like she is there, and she's on her way back from a like autograph session and like a little bit of like a talk in like a bookstore and like a library, and the librarian wants to be like nice and gives her a shortcut home so she can, you know, shave off a couple of miles from the drive. And she comes through this like more like secluded road, and there is like an old gas station, and on the road are like planks with like nails in them, and she drives over them because she can't stop enough. And then yeah, there comes a guy who's like, oh, I can put your emergency wheel on, and then he rapes her and takes her to she plays dead at that point. Like she gets in and out of consciousness, kind of thankfully for her, and then she plays dead, and he puts her into like a drainage pipe, like one of those that is like in like creeks and stuff, and he stuffs her in there, and she's like playing dead. And I'm now at the point where she thinks he might be gone. Also, in the books she writes are like cozy murder mysteries. So yeah, I don't really know where the story will be going, to be totally honest. It's also not something I particularly enjoy. It was a really jarring start to the story, but we'll see. You know, it's a Stephen King. Did I need the description that was in there? No, but we all know how it is sometimes. It's not that I dislike his stories, but like sometimes I would love to know beforehand that is what the story is about. It was pretty jarring. I think I only finished one romance since we last talked, because I did stop quite a few just before I could finish them. I think the last one we talked about was the one with the rock star and the interviewer. I'm pretty sure. And then the only one after that I finished was Forever Midnight, which is the Immortal Assassins book 2. So it comes after, like, it's the one where the vampires are assassins and kill like the bad guys. And in part 2, the love interest of the vampire is a guy they end up saving in the first book. And turns out that his sister got in with like she got into drugs, and then she got in with a bad gang, and they have tapes of her how she is on drugs, and how she sleeps with several of the men, or they sleep with her. Like, she's really not able to kind of consent. And then she signed a contract whilst under drugs, that she like belongs to them or something. And so her brother, which is like the main human character, he got her out of there. He got her to like a rehab place so she can be free of the drugs. And then he's now trying to get a hold of the tapes so he can destroy them. And the gang is like blackmailing him, wanting to get money, all of that. And then our vampire assassin gets involved because they keep running into one another. And then it also had like a little bit of like a weird added thing with the vampire had like one lover before, in like olden times, and that guy, once he showed them that he was a vampire, like ran away and didn't want to have anything to do with him, and then he took his own life. And so there's something with like reincarnation, but like only a little bit, and then it's kind of explained about like souls shattering and then tiny pieces going into other people. I didn't really like the aspect of that. It's why I'm giving the book 3 stars. I did like the rest of the book, but the whole reincarnation bit was pretty unnecessary. I felt like the story was already there, and it didn't feel needed, kind of. And it was a little bit irritating, to be honest. And then I did start the 3rd one, but that one I actually DNF'd, which is Always Eros, because the main love interest is a cult survivor that seems to be a cult run by vampires, but all of the interactions were so weird, I couldn't connect with the main characters, and so I decided to just DNF it and just, go with that. And so, yeah, I'm currently reading 2 other books now. One is called Spectre, which is also an assassin, but they are human. And he pines for a stripper. He's a stripper who doesn't go fully naked when he strips, and he works at this bar, and then he gets a stalker, and our main character, Spectre, wants to save him and help him. And then the other one I picked up is called Ragni Forever, Polished P&P Book 1. And that one is about a guy who moves in with his brother for the last year of university or college, something like that. He is studying pre-med, I think. And his brother owns a brother, and also he's part of a motorcycle club and all of that. And our main character falls in love with one of his brothers of his club, and yeah, they kind of fall in love. I'm not super far into that one yet, so I don't really know all too much what will happen in that book. But yeah, those are the 2 that I'm currently reading. I do like to switch between books with romance, like whenever I feel like it. So it works for me to read like a couple simultaneously. So yeah, that is the reading. And now let me show you the knitting that kept me from doing more physical reading. I finished my first sleeve completely. We have a cuff now. It is pretty long, how I like my sleeves. And then I also started the second sleeve, and I am already 50 rows in. So I have another 110 rows to go. And I kind of want to try and finish this by the end of this weekend, which we have Thursday now. So hopefully that is doable. So yeah, that is kind of the goal. Finish it by this weekend. So this is what I will focus on for the rest of the day. And then obviously once I go to bed, I will read more of the romance books. I will probably finish one of them. So we will have something to talk about tomorrow finished. And then I will try to read a bit more of Stephen King tomorrow. Okay, we have a reading update. I did finish the second short story in the Stephen King book, and now I'm on board. It was definitely just the setting of the first story that threw me off for the book. The second story, I think all of the stories in the book are just kind of revenge stories, more or less. Some done by the victim, like the second one. The first one, obviously, is more of a universal revenge thing. I really liked where the story went. I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but yeah, our poor victim, our main character, Decided she didn't want to tell anybody what happened once she managed to escape the guy. And then she just wants revenge, and she goes and gets her revenge, and I loved it. It was great. She was a really good character. I really liked that short, even though it started really dark and I kind of wasn't prepared for it. I liked where it went in the end, so I was really happy with that. It's definitely also the longest story. Like, as you can tell, I only have like a third of the book left, so I do plan on reading the third story as well today because it's pretty short, so I will check in with you a little bit later on. But yeah, the third one is just this little bit, and then I leave the fourth one for tomorrow and we'll finish the book off then. But if the other ones are like the second one, I'm really happy with the book. It's just the setting of the first one just did not work out for me, which is fine. It happens. I'm not really disappointed about that, you know. It's with Stephen King, it's always like whether like I like the way he does his stories, but sometimes the settings just don't work for me. Now let me think. Did I finish another book yesterday of the romance books? What did I tell you what I had? Oh yeah, right, I did finish a book yesterday. I finished Read Me Forever, Polished PMP. I did like it. I think it's a 4-star. It went into a fine direction. It has a little bit of like possessiveness and protectiveness from the guy that is in the motorcycle club, the brother of the main character. But it wasn't like horrible. I kind of liked it. I'm careful with saying I like stuff like that because oftentimes it can veer off into really weird directions. But I felt like in that book it was done rather well. I'm not sure if I want to read the next one of the story, just because the setting is kind of... It starts in like the brothel. Is that the right word? The establishment that the brother owns with some of the guys from the motorcycle club. It starts with one of the guys wanting to work there, and then through that he meets the love interest, which I still don't know who that is in the second book because it's not said. I have my thoughts who might be it, but it's not said in the book. So I'm not quite sure if I want to read that. I'm gonna sleep on it a little bit more, and then I will see if I will go back to that series. I didn't make any progress with the other one because I really don't know if I like Spectre. It's a little bit of a weird situation, so I'm having that on hiatus at the moment. I might go back to it, I might not. We'll see. But I did pick a new one for tonight, and that is called Roman, the Vampire's Maid book one. It's a Vampire Maid story. I do like my vampire stories, to be honest. So yeah, it's I think those are like pretty insta-lovey. The vampires just take their mates a little bit like that. It's like the connection seems to be like really strong straight from the beginning, and so it's kind of a little bit insta-lovey, but I do like that. So I think it's a good series to start, and it has 6 books. So if I like the first one, I should like the other ones. That is the reading, and now let's talk about the knitting I've done so far today, or like today and yesterday. I am a pretty good way through the sleeve now. I have about 47 rows left of the lilac color, and then the last 20 rows of the black, which go by really fast because they are so small. The goal for today is to get through the last 47 rows, but I'm not quite sure because I actually have a package coming later on. I finally fulfilled my own wish and bought myself what is the name in English? Roller skates. I bought myself roller skates. I have been planning to do that, I don't know, maybe since I was like 17, and I discovered my mom's in the basement. They sadly didn't fit me, and back then I wasn't somebody who was really adventurous with trying new things. Now I am, and I think my partner said I've talked about it for like 5 years already, that I wanted to buy myself ones, and I finally did it. I finally ordered myself some roller skates. and a helmet because we want to be safe here. And they are supposed to come today, and I really want to try them directly and just, I have never ever stood on roller skates. I owned inliners. I don't know if that's the right word in English. The ones where you have the 4 rows behind one another. I own those and I do have them still, but I always thought roller skates were cooler. So I bought myself a cool pair of those, and I'm super excited for it to come today, and I might just try them out today directly. We have really nice weather, but I might just try them in like the apartment, like the, what is the name? In the hallway of our apartment, because we are the only ones on our floor. So there isn't really anybody that can complain if I try them out in the apartment building. So I might try that. But yeah, I'm super excited. It's something I wanted for a lot of years, and finally, I'm not somebody who likes to throw money out the window. So I take a lot of time to do decisions like these, but I'm super excited. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I will check in with you today once I finished the next story, and then maybe once my skates are here, if they come at a time where I'm still kind of presentable. The next short story is Fair Extension, and that was an interesting one. It's about a guy who has lung cancer, and he's slowly dying, and then he meets a guy who's like, I can give you 50 more years of life, but you need to pay me for it, and you need to give your bad luck to somebody else. And our guy instantly has an idea, because there's somebody who wronged him, and he wants to, some kind of fairness in life for him dying younger than he should be. Was really interesting. The main guy and his family get fortune and fame, and he has 15 more years, and the other guy is pretty much his life is just breaking down. But yeah, because he wasn't a good guy before that. I mean, it's a pretty I don't know if I could do something like that, I'm gonna be honest. But I get the gist of the story, and also it was a lot less dark than the other 2 stories so far, which was a good change in pace, So yeah, now for the last one that I will read tomorrow morning, we have A Good Marriage left. So I'm interested to see who the sucker is in a marriage, because I'm gonna assume it's between 2 people who are married. That would make the most sense. Other than that, which is also the reason why my hair looks like this, my roller skates and my helmet came. I don't know if the helmet fits. I have to make my partner check tomorrow, because he's coming really late from university today. He works and then he has university in the evenings sometimes. And but yeah, my roller skates came, and I'm already in love with them. I wanted black ones, but they didn't have them in my size, and so I thought to myself, why not go with the funky ones? And so I got myself some really funky roller skates. I really love the pattern, I have to say. And to be honest, I don't have anything against sparkly blue laces. I can live with that. But yeah, they look so cool. I love them. I already tried them on and did a little bit of roller skating around my apartment. I have a lot to learn. Obviously, that's the first time that I ever had roller skates on, as far as I can remember. Maybe as a child, but it's like an adult. And so yeah, I'm super excited to do around the hallway, around the hallway tomorrow, because right now I have a headache, so I'm gonna lie down and hope that the headache will go away. But yeah, I'm super excited for them. It was a lot of fun to just go through my room and the entrance of the apartment. So yeah, that was a lot of fun already. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm so excited. Also, my best friend has hers still. So she might be bringing them when she comes to visit in August, which would be super fun to be able to go roller skating with her. So yeah, super excited. So excited. Okay, it is now Saturday afternoon. I have a reading update. I finished the Stephen King novel. Let me get the book. So I finished Full Dark, No Stars. I actually think the last story might have been my favorite. It's Good Marriage. It's about a woman who thinks her husband might be a serial killer, and the problem is the police can't really help. There isn't enough evidence that they can prosecute on, and so she takes matters into her own hand, and she chooses a classic way that we all know too well from husbands killing their wives. It's pretty cool. I really like that one, so I'm giving it 4 stars in total, because I didn't love the first story, but I did think the other 3 were really good. So I'm evening it out and giving it 4 stars, but it was really enjoyable. I did really like the book. Another Stephen King that is a hit. I was slightly afraid in the beginning, but I'm glad that I really liked it. And yeah, that was a good read. I didn't finish any romance novels. The 2 I was reading yesterday, I DNF both pretty late, in like they're like 60-70%, because I just didn't like the way the relationships were evolving. Okay, my partner just called from the dog walk, which is yeah, but I didn't finish either of those, I think is where I was. I did start another one, which so far I'm really happy about. I need to look up what it's called. It's, I think, Drake Security. It's about a couple of brothers. Yeah, Drake Security Book 1, Hothead. And it's about a couple of brothers who are dragon shifters, and they have a security company. And the first brother, which is Nico, he gets put on assignment for the son of just a rich guy who has a stalker, and it turns out that the stalker is a wolf shifter, and the wolf shifter is really obsessed with the guy, even though they were together for 2 weeks and then they broke up. And the Lake, the guy, doesn't know anything about the shifter world, and Nico thinks he's his fated mate, and so the story kind of goes from there. But yeah, I do like the bodyguards falling in love with their charges books, so I am really enjoying that one so far. So hopefully it won't turn as the other books did. So yeah, that is what I'm currently reading. And then something I'm really happy about is I finished my sweater. I just finished the second sleeve. I now have 2 sleeves. I am thinking about doing a little bit of double knit, I don't think that is what it's called, but maybe a little heart or something, just as a decoration on the sleeve, because it is pretty plain. But I haven't completely decided yet, so I will put this to the side, because at least I finished the knitting part, and then I will see what I want to do with that. We shall find out. I don't know yet. Yeah, so that is everything. We are going to watch the Super Mario film, the new one, in cinema tomorrow, which I'm super excited for. We actually splurged and got the fanciest seats in the cinema where we go to. But we had to go back to we will have to go back to the cinema we went to last time, which is a little bit further away, but they show it in English, which is what we always go into the original language version of the movie if we can. And they have these really fancy 2-seaters, which is obviously pretty nice, and then they are really, really fancy. You can put the footrest up, and they have a table and stuff like that. So we splurged and got those tickets because they had the best look at the film, and I'm super excited. We're gonna see that tomorrow. And yeah, other than that, my weekend, at least the filming for the weekend, is over. I don't know what book I will pick up next physically, but you will probably find out on Monday. So I will see you hopefully next Monday. I hope you enjoyed this week's vlog, and hopefully I will see you in the next one with some interesting reads. Bye.